Well, good morning. It appears if somebody has cut the beans out there and over there. I gave her a try, but still a little bit too wet, so gonna drop the bean head off of that and go hook onto the corn head this afternoon. So I'd kind of forgotten that the sweep was in this bin, so I pulled it out and I'm putting the door back in the bin. I ran the fan so it works. I'm gonna let this air up, drive it up the highway to the cornfield, hitchhike my way back, set the auger for that bin instead of that bin, switch the combine to corn, and hopefully get started by noon. So shouldn't be too bad. I think the combine's pretty easy to switch over, so I've never shelled corn with it. It could be ugly the first couple rounds. I don't know. Hopefully we don't throw too much out the back, but let's get ready to go. I tried to give it a go last night in the soybeans. I really wanted to knock out that weedy patch. It's just that rectangle there clear to the highway was really bad. Over there is not bad at all. Went ahead and cut that hillside. That hillside was pretty dry, but the rest of the field is just wet. So was that one. They're about 15–16%. So with the nice weather we're having, I'd say if I go shell corn for a couple days, I can come right back to those fields and hammer right through them at 13–14%, the way they'd be drying right now. So got the lids open. It's time to move an auger. Now, I'm not naming names, but I know a guy that once was climbing up this ladder and found that wasp nest, got the crap stung out of him, and about bailed off the ladder. Again, not naming names, but it wasn't a good time. All right, the semi has been parked, the corn has been ready, and we're walking back to the farm now. So she's hooked up, blown off. All I gotta do is blow out the radiator real good with the air compressor, clean the air filter, but I blew it off with a leaf blower and greased it. Everything's pretty much ready to go. A couple minor things to do. I've got it mostly set for corn, but I'm sure I'll fine tune it once I get in. So we're gonna play with it just a little bit. We should be showing corn in about a half hour. Well, I grabbed lunch, tester, drink. Combine's pretty much set, so I think we're ready to roll. Okay, so we made our first pass, and the corn in there looks really clean. Get a better picture of it here. I mean, that's a pretty sample. Not cracking anything, and I don't know, I might open the concaves a little bit, but I do see quite a bit of corn on the ground, so I'm gonna open up the sieves a little bit and slow my fan down, because I do not want that much corn on the ground, and there's a fair amount, more than I'd like to see at least. So we'll shut that down just a little bit. So I'm gonna go nice and slow here, make a pass, and see if the corn gets any dirtier. This is short rows here. Corn is not bad corn. Now, I don't have that calibrated for corn at all yet, but 200 bushel corn I'm all right with. So hopefully this cleans the sample. Well, the sample's clean, but hopefully we can get a little less corn on the ground. I slowed the fan down and opened up the concave, so as long as it doesn't get too dirty in the tank, we should get all the corn in the combine instead of out the back. All right, so all I have done so far is shell the end rows off of about a, I don't know, 2 acre little patch, and well, she's full. Now, there's a few pieces of cob in here, but not all that many that I'm worried about it. Seems that I've already ran it over on top of the cab in the first hopper. Corn feels a little bit wet, but it's not really ground up any. I guess it is a little bit. So I could probably open my concaves just a little bit. But we're gonna hop down. I hate to test this quite yet. The moisture meter's reading 18, or 19, excuse me. 19.8 is what it's reading, so right at 20, which is fine, because I'm kind of down here in a low spot, and I think it's gonna test a little bit higher. So we'll grab a test real quick and see where it's at. Well, the combine's dumping. I'm gonna jump out and run over here where I just shelled. Check the ground again, see what we're looking like. You really hate to leave corn out in the field. They say about 2 kernels per square foot is a bushel. So really anything more than 3 or 4 bushel, I really don't want to see. I knocked over some ears down here. This is where my point rows crossed each other, my end rows and the rows back and forth. So not a whole lot you can do about that, except put row clutches on your planter, which is expensive. So, but really, square foot here, I'm seeing 3-4 kernels, so 2 bushel. I mean, that's not terrible. A couple bushels, a couple bushel. With the sample I'm getting, I think I'm all right with that. So you're always gonna have some on the ground. It's never gonna be perfect, but if 2 bushels is what I got on the ground, I can kind of live with that. Ideally, it'd not be any at all, but I'll tell you what, anywhere you don't plant corn, the weeds really take over. But there you go, dumping away. All right, so pretty much got this combine lined out. It's leaving very little corn on the ground now. Made a few more adjustments. This corn right in here is running about 210, right around 200, 180. You know, it's making a liar out of me right now. The average is 125. I cut some really crappy end rows on the other end of the field down by the trees here. I made a round down through there, and the deer had pretty much taken every bit of the first 12 rows. So between the deer and the raccoons, there wasn't much there. So that brought the average way down, but it's hopping back into 220 bushel corn, so pretty happy with that. Kind of hoping for 170, 180 out in this field. Anything over that, I'll be pretty excited. But a lot of this corn just kind of looked really good and then burn up in July. We got really hot, really dry in July, right at pollination as well. So hopefully that didn't hurt it too bad. I mean, it's still rolling in pretty good, but we'll see what it makes. I'm kind of getting a better idea as I get out here in the middle of the field, but I didn't record much just because it's a pain in the ass to open up a field and try and record it at the same time. So you can see what I've been doing. I better stop. I just covered my camera. The corn out in the middle of the field is making between 180 and 250, so hopefully the field average picks up pretty quick. Now that I'm done with the crappy end rows and got that over with, corn's a lot better out here, so should be some pretty fun running today. Grain cart ought to be down here after a while, but I am going to go ahead and take the semi in and dump it just to make sure everything's running right over at the bins. Well, for shelling that little patch there, a few crappy end rows and I don't know, 5 passes here, not bad corn. So 20%, we'll stick it in the fan and let the fan have it, and I'd say in a couple days it'd be down to 18 in the bin and on to 16, and I'll usually get it down to about 15 and it'll keep right there. So not bad corn. Here's your sketchy grain bin wiring, but it works. We're ready to dump it. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised there's not much heat coming out of this at all, so that's good. Not bad, not bad. I got back with the semi and started opening up the end rows on the other end of the field down through here. It's pretty dang good corn. I already got the semi half full again, so it's going to be a challenge for whoever runs the truck to keep up with the combine tonight, so that should be interesting. But as for right now, I'm just trying to keep up with myself, so good or bad. Hopefully the weight wagon will be here in a little bit. We're going to make absolute sure that the yield monitor's dead on. We know it is in beans now, but I think it's pretty close in corn, but I don't think it's quite right. I think it might be a little bit off, but I do think it's in the ballpark, so take everything I show you on here with a grain of salt, because it has not been calibrated for corn quite yet, so we'll see what it makes. I was really afraid that this 6-row head wouldn't be enough head to keep this combine full, and an 8-row would probably be better on it, but the thing is, I couldn't keep up with an 8-row head. I mean, even with a 6, I'm filling this semi quickly, and I don't even have a cart driver right now, so when I get out in decent sized fields with somebody dumping on the go, I'd need another truck to keep up. There's no doubt about it. Alright, so now that the field's opened up, scooting along 5 miles an hour, rolling in about 180 bushel, 190. Not too bad. I'll take it. Pretty decent corn. It looks a lot wetter than what it really is, but I've tested it through the combine and tested it with a handheld tester, running right between 17 to 20%, just depending where you're at, but this is more on the 20% side here. But not bad corn. A little bit better than I thought it was going to be. It's making 200. Well, it was making 200 right there, so not bad. I'll take it. Well, well, well. Look who's back. Making sure the monitor's completely right. Wheeling it off, shell it off, again and again and again. Okay, so my combine scale and the scale on his weigh wagon, which was just calibrated yesterday, are within 50 pounds, which is less than a bushel of corn. That was 50 pounds making one round. So less than a bushel off on a round. Now that figured in, adjusting for that, there's what we're making right now. So, not bad corn. I was gonna be tickled to death if this made 175, 180, so for it to be making over 200, and that is dry too. The top number is dry yield, the instant is wet, but the top figures in it's dried corn, so not bad corn for 180 bushel is what I thought it would make, so I'll take that any day of the week. They say less is more, but not when you're shelling corn. More is more. And I really like this combine too. It's pretty much the slower I drive, the more corn it slings out the back. And if I keep it full, which was what I was worried about putting a 6-row on this combine, but if I drive 4.5, 5 mile an hour, even 5.5 mile an hour, it definitely doesn't throw much out the back at all, so I'm happy with that. Got a dent knocked out in this field already. 6 rows left over here. I left just until he got out of the way, but pretty dang happy with this corn right now. I'll be even happier if I sell it for over $4, but that's still doubtful right now. So here we go, last 6. Well, the cart slash semi man's here, as is my wife, who's sporting a nice cup. Let me see that cup. Where'd you get that at?
I ordered it.
Shame I don't get any cups. Combine's full, but luckily the cart's here to save the day. While the lunch lady's getting yelled at on the radio for riding in the combine and not making supper yet.
know me.
You got a full cart. I mean, I can, but I don't know if it's gonna make it to the grain bin or not. This is dry corn, not wet soybeans, where we can really pile it up there. Well, Cartman is on his way back, so hopefully he's back before we're full again, because it's kind of a race at this point. See if he's quicker than I am. So naturally I'm gonna have to start shelling corn 6 mile an hour to make sure I win. Well, he may be quick, but he's not quick enough. Had some cab corn. Could have got a little bit more in the back, but not much. So we've knocked out, oh, probably 20 acres here. So about 20 more on that side. Well, there's 11 plus 5. So there's 16 acres over there, 5 down there, probably 10 left here. So scooting right along. Definitely shelled a fair amount of corn for getting a late start and not having help this morning, but pretty good looking sample. A couple cobs, a couple pieces of leaves and stuff, but a lot of that's just coming straight from the corn head. I'm running pretty fast, so gets a lot of trash in the corn head, doesn't really get time to flush through. But once he gets over here, we'll dump and carry on. Just have him pick it up. Garrett, I'm running right at 3.3. This is gonna fill you really full, so no sense getting too wild. Speed up a little bit. Speed up a lot more. Set the head down just a little bit.
Oh.
That's it. No, pick it up. You went too much.
Right there?
Right above the ground. Pick it up. Pick it up. Down. What are you doing? Down. Right there. And you'll have to move it up. Like right now, you need to go up.
Ah.
Do not do
up
that.
is down and down is up.
Yes, and you just crammed it into the ground.
know.
Don't do that.
Oh.
You don't have to drive too fast. They're going to catch up to us.
Hey Alexa, can you play International Harvester on repeat, please? I know what I'm doing.
You do not. Keep it between the rows.
I
On
am.
the rows. Yes, you've established up is down and down is up.
Let me learn how I learn. Oh shit, Fred. I did not count.
I've counted correctly all day. You make one round. That's 4 rows over there. Sure.
Do I hold it?
No.
Do I click it again to shut it off?
Yes. Give it some throttle. I won't sit here all night waiting on you to dump.
You said to idle down.
Well, you should idle it down before you start it. I like those lights. You're doing a fine job. But I'm pretty sure the grain bin's full, so your combining days are over.
They've
for
just
now.
begun.
I hope they're over, because I almost had to buy like 6 snouts.
That's a lie.
No.
I've watched
you were gouging the ground several
Okay, there's
times.
dust on one.
The middle one too, which is the hardest one to drive into the ground. It's the corner ones that are easy.
Look, you're giving me goosebumps. That's how angry you're making me. Get that on camera. You're giving me goosebumps because you're making me angry.
You know how I learned to be a good operator?
I want to cut beans, not corn. I like beans better. Give me that radio.
Okay, kicked her out. Apparently we've got like a couple foot in the grain bin yet, so I cut one more hopper. We're hoping it fits. She's gonna drive his truck back. I have to give him a ride to his truck. We've basically had one guy at the bin dumping, and the cart's been in and out as fast as we could get it dumped in the bin, so definitely been cranking out the bushels. Field average right now is 185, which is a little more realistic to what I thought it would be. There's 200 bushel corn on that side. It's down to 160, 170 on that side, which I figured it gets really hilly and clay points, and a lot of it just burned up in July. So apparently there was just enough moisture on the east side of that field to keep it fairly alive, but the rest of it just, it looks like it's just burnt up. So is what it is. You can't control the weather. I mean, this should be some of the more poor ground that the corn's on. I do have some that I think will make 250, and I have some that'll make 160, so it's kind of going to be all over the board this year. It's just kind of the weather we had, but we'll head in, and the nice thing is I don't have to take the highway because I cut these beans already, so I'm just hopping across the field. But we're gonna head in and get this dumped and hope that it all fits in the grain bin. I'm being overtaken. It looks like we've...
Wait for a second, I'm gonna pull up to the back hopper.
10-4. Looks like we got a heck of an operation going on up here. Got about as many pickups as we do pieces of equipment. Well, we filled that grain bin in about 4 hours, so not too bad, especially because I started out by myself. Once they showed up, it filled up real quick, but they work full-time jobs. One's in school and works half days and is in school the other half the day, so I take help when I get it, but they're definitely really, really good help, and I appreciate having them around. Dumping. I think we've just about got the truck empty, and that's good because we're like 2 foot from the top of the bin. It's pretty close right now. We're real close on the slope. Pretty good view from up here. Real good view from up here. Auger is down. The neighbor's still running, so we better keep going too. That's how that works. Well, there's no chance of rain, and there's nothing on the radar, but the clouds kind of say otherwise, so we're gonna put everything in a shed tonight. The cart's already, I think, in the shed. I see his lights. Yeah, he's going to the shed, and I'm going to the shed. And hopefully, we get a rain tonight, because I would not be upset. It could rain 2 inches and I'd still be in the field the next day in corn right now, because it is dry as a bone. I mean, it's almost concerning, because if you would have a bearing get hot or a spark get thrown out of the machine, you have a fire pretty easily right now. So hopefully we don't burn anything down, but that's a lot of the reason I've stayed hooked onto the disc as long as I have, is just in case we would have something catch on fire, we've got the disc to kind of keep it under control, because it's about your best bet for a field fire. Just in case it does rain, which A nice hard rain would kind of wash this thing off, but what will happen is it will sprinkle just enough to make it filthy. So I'm gonna nose this thing in the shop tonight. Just enough that it doesn't get filthy dirty, allegedly. And okay, we're gonna make it through the door, all right? Set that down. Ooh, that was harder than I wanted it to be. I'm actually gonna back up a little bit. I don't want those blades setting down on the concrete. Alright, that'll work. Set it down and shut this thing off. The tongue on that disc is weird. It rocks back and forth and kinds of weird stuff, but okay, well, we'll call that a pretty productive day. Didn't even break anything today. And I can say that because I'm walking to the house now, so unless there's something I don't know about that we've broken I haven't found yet, it was a pretty productive day.